Hi, I'm Annalisa. I hope you guys join us for the 10th anniversary of World Speech Day.
We are from Zhangjiagang Ivy Experimental High School of China.
Bonjour, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Prince Ekane, speaking to you right from Cameroon, a nation that is full and rich with culture, diversities, and resilience. Today, being the World Speech Day, I'm delighted to share from my own corner of the globe with you.
Hello everyone! We're here from St. Joseph High School, Tanjung Balai Karimun to promote World Speech Day.
Hi, my name is Cecily and she is Camila and we are from Villa Educativa de Saltillo.
Namaste. This is Aishwarya Jaykumar from India.
This year, we are going to be celebrating the 10th anniversary. It is going to be celebrated on the 15th of March 2025. Go to our social media handles and search World Speech Day and register to participate in this life-changing event.
Welcome to Villa Educativa from Saltillo, Mexico.
We have the honor to participate in World Speech for the last 7 years.
We will bring to you in this event over 50 speakers who will share with you their insights, their stories, and their aspirations to build a better world.
We are in about 100 countries around the world. So now, Barberino Tavernelle, representing Italy, is one of those 100 countries.
Hello, I'm Molu Modise, the Program Manager of World Speech Day South Africa, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Book Club.
Hi everyone, this is Ibrahim speaking from Yemen. It's my pleasure being a part in this International Speech Day. As you know that Yemen is recently going through a very complicated situation.
Hi everyone, this is Catherine Osorio from El Salvador and I'm really happy to be here at the World Speech Day.
On the occasion of World Speech Day, I would like to share some of my thoughts with all beautiful souls.
This year's theme is the unexpected voices. So get ready, get registered and listen to the hidden talents of our youth, children and adults all over the world.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Naki Rizvi and I am so happy to be with you today on World Speech Day 2025. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about my life and hopefully help you see a different perspective. Now, I was born with an eye condition called congenital glaucoma, which meant that my optic nerve was damaged when I was born. I was born with very limited sight, but as I got older, the sight kept getting worse, and by the age of 7, I had lost my sight completely. So I have been blind pretty much all of my life. The world, sadly, is designed mainly for able-bodied people, not necessarily for people with disabilities, which obviously means you end up facing lots of obstacles and challenges as a blind person. I have had to face a lot of these throughout my life, and while a great support structure has been incredible, especially with my incredible family and particularly my sister, who has been a huge inspiration and a confidant for me, ultimately it comes down to you. All the obstacles that you face, regardless of your disability, regardless of your conditions, how do you deal with them? Now, one of the mantras for me has generally been overcoming obstacles naturally. But also, if you can't overcome an obstacle, what do you do then? Well, you go around them. And I want to share 2 aspects of my life with you to hopefully bring that to life a little bit. The first one, when I went to a mainstream school, because my mum was incredibly keen for me to get a regular education and pursue my dreams, I came up with a challenge. You cannot do science if you can't see. And that was the thing that kept repeating. People were very, very confident that you needed sight in order to be able to do science, because ultimately I wanted to be an engineer. That's what I was passionate about. That's what I knew I was good at, and that's what gave me a sense of fulfillment and enjoyment. But all these obstacles came in my way, and that's where I had to overcome some of them, but also go around others. And the way I did science and engineering at school, and then for my undergraduate and master's degrees, was through a combination of things. So, as an example, I had something called a German embossing sheet. So anything that you draw on it gets embossed, so I can feel it with my hands and try and understand what the particular shape of a graph, of a diagram is. I also had access to a screen reader where anything that comes on the screen was read aloud to me, so I could listen to it and then type my response back. Mental maths was a huge part of my degree. A lot of the arithmetic, algebra I tried to do in my head because scientific calculators at the time at least weren't very accessible for someone like myself and couldn't really talk back. But also other more informal arrangements. So as an example, I wasn't very adept at some of those lab experiments because I couldn't necessarily work with some of the equipment. And that's where teamwork and a bit of working and thinking smartly came into the picture. So while my friends could do some of the laboratory stuff, I could help out with the analysis because that's where my strengths lay. So in some ways we could work really effectively as a team. But also I remember particularly for one of my courses where you had to do computer aided design and make 3D objects, God, that was never going to be accessible with a screen reader. So my professor and I were a tag team together, worked on it together where he would effectively be my screen reader, I would tell him what to do, and then it was the most amazing feeling when you print out the final object in a 3D printer to kind of feel the fruits of my labor. And that is broadly how I managed to do engineering so successfully. And the highlight in some ways and the pinnacle and the proudest moment for me was after my undergraduate degree when it came to the graduation. And I was the only one in my entire class who had any sort of impairment, but I ended up with the highest grade on my batch. And that for me was really testament to the fact that disability doesn't have to translate to inability. That if you put your mind to something, if you can find ways of overcoming something, you can absolutely do it. The second thing is around another aspect of my life which I value really, really deeply, which is around sports. There's a lot of different sports I do, but there's two that I do quite regularly. One of them is running, which hopefully everyone here knows of, and the second one is blind tennis. I don't think most of you would have heard about it. But again, it comes to finding ways in which you can overcome the obstacle that you're presented with. In my case, not being able to see. So for running, I have a guide runner who I'm tethered to, who's to my side, and they are my eyes. They will tell me about obstacles, about turns, about other runners in front of us, about different things that you will generally take for granted when you're out about on your feet. So that has been incredible, and it's allowed me to do everything from a 100-meter sprint to running to entire marathons. But blind tennis, how's that played? And here's a little prop for you. So the ball is audible. Because you can't see the ball, you have to hear it, and it's by hand-ear coordination rather than hand-eye coordination. The ball has a bell in it, the baseline and the tram lines are tactile, so you can feel them with your feet. And honestly, the sense of freedom on a tennis court, when you can run around, where you can make your own decisions, where you can feel incredibly independent, is just the most liberating feeling ever. I put my heart and soul into it, despite having a full-time career, and it really paid off. In 2023, it was probably the pinnacle of my tennis career, where I won the UK Nationals and became the world #1 in blind tennis. One of the reasons I'm sharing this with you is to inspire, hopefully inspire you and make you think that actually, whatever the obstacle, whatever the circumstance, doesn't have to be a disability. There are always ways around things. I particularly like the framing of the social model of disability, which actually says the person is disabled because of their environment, not their impairment. So you might think, actually, I'm disabled because I can't see. But if you make things more accessible, if you enable the environment for someone like myself to succeed, I can do it, as you've seen I have. If a person in a wheelchair, for example, needs to go up a building with no lift, they might struggle. But if there is a lift, they can get up there a lot more easily. The person hasn't changed, the environment hasn't changed. What has changed? Sorry, the person hasn't changed, the impairment hasn't changed. What has changed is the environment. So let's start thinking about how we can be enablers to allow others to succeed. And ultimately, it's about your attitude, how you perceive the world, how you perceive life. I read an amazing quote a few years ago which said, 10% of life is what happens to you, and 90% is how you react to it. So you probably have no control over the 10%, but there is definitely a lot more that you can do with the 90% that you have. So when you go away from the speech, I really want you to reflect, to introspect, to think about what aspects of your life are you struggling with or you want to improve, and how you can change, hopefully with some creativity, some of those obstacles and challenges into opportunities. I look forward to hearing some of your stories at some point and wish you all the very best. Take care. Bye for now.
Hello, distinguished guests. Today I'll be speaking on making Nigeria better. I am here not just as a citizen, but as a voice that believes in the boundless potential of our great nation, Nigeria. A nation rich in culture, in history, in resilience, a land blessed with resources, yet yearning for unity, peace, and progress. But the question remains, how do we make Nigeria better? First, we must take responsibility for our actions, for our communities, for our country. We cannot continue to blame the government alone while we refuse to uphold the values that make a nation great: honesty, discipline, and accountability. We must reject corruption not only in high places, but also in our daily dealings. A citizen of this great country should be like the antelope, swift and watchful, never falling prey to the cheetah of division and prejudice that preys on our unity. Every day, we must rise, not just to exist, but to make a difference, knowing that one by one, we shape the world we live in. Education is our greatest weapon. The light of knowledge must shine on our youths, for in them lies our future. We cannot afford to let ignorance and misinformation cloud our paths. Let us revisit the wisdom of our ancestors, the great minds of this land, who stood firm in the face of adversity. We must embrace innovation. Nigeria is a land of thinkers, of dreamers, of doers, from technology to agriculture, from medicine to arts. Our potential is limitless, but we must release the shackles of complacency and invest in ideas that drive real change. I'm here today with silver words, but with a golden heart. Believing in the power of unity, we must replace division with dialogue, hate with understanding, and despair with hope. We must swear by our hearts to fill this nation with love, to uplift our neighbors, and to ensure that Nigeria, no one is left behind. Let us not be mere spectators in the grand stage of Nigeria's future. Let us be architects. We must hold ourselves accountable, not just in words, but in action. Change starts with you and me. In our homes, in our schools, in our streets, in our government. To my fellow Nigerians, let us rise with fortitude of our ancestors, the wisdom of our scholars, and the determination of our youth. Let us reshape our nation with justice, equity, and unshakable love for one another. Because in the end, Nigeria is not just a country, it is our home, and it's up to us to make it better. Thank you.